Hi folks, welcome back. And yes, Brock, I am on your case again, but the point I want to make in this video isn't exclusively about you. It's a point I want to make to poets and rhetoricians and players with words of all stripes. I'm using you to make that point because I think you're as good a template for that point as I'm likely to be able to find on YouTube. As a preface to that point, let's take a peek at a small snippet from one of your recent videos wherein you attempted to define atheism.
Let's define atheism, shall we? Atheism is the deliberate, definite, and dogmatic denial of the existence of God. But it claims to know the ins and outs of the game despite being an absolute denial of the absolute. Catching all those double negatives? Now, the chess players among you, the more clever, you're going to try to slide to the more soft atheism because you know you're going to get decimated when you try to philosophically explain the absolute negative. No. Now, the atheist basically says there is no God, right? But the softer version, they're going to try to say there's no sufficient evidence for God. But it commits a few blunders, and we're going to go over these blunders. Now, to say that you became an atheist by default because there's not enough credible evidence to support theism is not an academically credible switch, because there's a myriad of other options. Take pantheism, for example. Now, to say that there's insufficient evidence to support theism, therefore I'm an atheist, implies a satisfactory logical defense that the atheist simply doesn't have. He's just making it up. In other words, if you're playing poker, they're claiming they have a full house, what they really have is a pair of deuces.
Now, despite the superficial appearance of an argument in that piece, it really is just wordplay. Indeed, the vast majority of your videos are mostly constituted of wordplay. They're essentially just a few minutes of rhetorical flourishes and homespun cliches strung together. But you know what? There comes a time when every poet, every rhetorician must come out from behind their words and give a proper account of themselves. There comes a time when the piper must be paid. And yes, I can't believe I just said that. Obviously, your obsessive-compulsive cliché disorder is kind of contagious. But anyway, you know what I mean. There does come a time when you have to step out from behind your words. Now, that's not to say that wordplay doesn't have its place. It does. It does have its uses, and it does have its value. Case in point, back in the day, a few of us got together and founded the Atheist Society of Australia. Now, just for fun, and because we thought it might be kind of provocative, we decided we'd come up with our own rather unique definition of atheist, and that definition was this. An atheist is one who knows what God is. And yes, most people looked perplexed just like that. But the thing is that with a simple bit of wordplay, I can give a perfectly decent justification for that definition. An atheist is one who knows what God is. And that justification is this. An atheist is one who stands in contrast to or direct opposition to the theist. The theist is one who holds beliefs about the nature of reality, beliefs that are delusional and false because of their internal contradictions, and who subsequently assigns the label God to those concepts. The atheist is one who understands, and therefore knows, the logical necessity of the infinite totality, and who subsequently assigns the label God to that infinite totality. This automatically makes him one who knows what God is, in contrast and direct opposition, as I say, to the theist, who holds beliefs about the nature of reality that are false and delusional because of their internal contradictions, and who assigns those beliefs the label God. So there you have it, a perfectly decent justification for the definition of atheist as one who knows what God is. And in the process of justifying that definition, I've basically plucked God out of your trembling hands. But you know, the real point here is that it's not our words and labels and the ways in which we can manipulate them that really matters. What really matters is the concepts that lie behind our words and labels. And what matters with respect to those concepts is their lucidity and their truth value. But in dealing with the issues of that lucidity and truth value, we have to dive headlong into the somewhat turbulent waters of meaning and reason. Poets and rhetoricians and players with words of your ilk satisfy themselves with dangling their feet in the shallows of that water. You splash around and you make a bit of noise and you attract a bit of attention. But you really only attract the attention of the credulous and the gullible, and perhaps the God-fearing folk of Pennsylvania. For those who actually value reason and meaning, and who see the necessity of diving headlong into those aforementioned waters, you simply appear as a child, splashing and playing in those shallows. The question here is, who is it that you're pitching to? It seems to me that you're pretty much aiming at what I would consider the lowest common denominator. Do you really want that to be your legacy? Is that how you really want to be remembered?